Theme song. Fat guy in a little coat. Fat guy in a little coat.
Podcasting cousins in little coat.
I'm not wearing a coat.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Our Dads Are Brothers, a TV and movie review podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Tracy, along with my co-host.
I'm Bat Tracy. In today's episode, Chris Farley, the life and times of the 10. The 10 being his 10 movie roles.
The 10 movie roles.
I sometimes say things in a confusing way.
I'm excited. I like Chris Farley. Do you like Chris Farley?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite actors, actually.
One of hundreds of favorite actors?
I would say I have...
Is he in your top 5?
He's in my top 10.
Okay. Yeah, meaning he's at least 6 or higher. Oh, I see what you did.
Because the 10, yeah, there you go.
Lame. Lame.
So how you been?
I've been good. Yeah. We're almost to July. I like July personally.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because of the 4th?
No, my birthday's in July. The festivities that come with the 4th are fun. Fairs in town, fireworks, hot dogs, things like that.
Gotcha.
I'm not extremely patriotic excited about the 4th. But the
festivities
that come
right now.
Yeah, but the festivities that come with it are great.
Okay.
What are you excited for July? My birthday?
To be honest, I don't remember exactly when your birthday is. I believe it's the 9th.
You do remember.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know. You asked that question in such a weird way. I don't know. I'm not really excited about anything in July.
Sure did.
I drank some shampoo before the podcast.
Oh, that's exciting. Is that your
thought it was
is that your ritual?
No, I thought it was mouthwash and it was shampoo, which makes me sound like an idiot, but I'm not going to explain myself. I'm not going to explain myself at all. I drank shampoo. I didn't drink any, though. I didn't swallow any. I just spit it out. But yeah, so what have you been watching?
I actually started and finished a reality show on Netflix yesterday. It's called Snowflake Mountain. It was pretty good. Yeah.
It sounds like the idea of what I have from just the title is definitely not what it's about. So you tell me what it's about first, and then I'll tell you what I think the idea is about.
Some 20-something-year-old entitled what people call snowflakes, somebody who doesn't have a job, doesn't do dishes, very dainty, I don't know, something along those lines. Look up the Urban Dictionary. They live with their parents, and their parents send them off to what they think is going to be a reality show, sitting in like a villa next to the beach, endless drinks in their bikinis. And boom, they're dropped off on top of a mountain where then they have to like skin a deer, start a fire, shit in a bucket. They hate it.
The exact thing that the show is what I was imagining the show is.
Perfect.
So I legit was like, in my head, when you said the title, I went, so wait, do they take like a snowflake off Twitter and like make him climb a mountain or something?
Yeah.
Like, that was what I was envisioning.
The last challenge, they had to climb a mountain.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The title gets the point across.
It does.
Yeah, I immediately knew what it was.
Perfect. Yeah, other than that, I've just been watching the same old that I've been watching. Ozarks. Actually, I'm taking a break on that by mistake. I watched some Shark Dog. That's a fun kids show.
Shark Dog. Just when you think you need a dog, you get a shark.
Similar,
Shark Dog.
That's not really it. What have you been watching?
Give me 1 second. I honestly don't know where I put my notebook of where I write down the things I want.
I should probably do that. I just forget what I watch.
Oh, I found it.
Shark Dog.
You
got the wrong theme song stuck in my head.
Just when you think you want a dog, you get half a shark. Shark Dog.
It does talk about half. It's like half shark, half a dog. Something about Jaws. And
when you buy a dog and half of it always needs to live in the water because it has gills, unless you get the tail part that doesn't have the gills. It's Shark Dog.
That was boring and lame.
You asked me what I was watching.
Yeah.
This past weekend was AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling's Forbidden Door pay-per-view, which is a pay-per-view I was not excited for going into because the storylines weren't built that well. But I knew it was going to deliver with quality wrestling, and it did. It was a great show. I don't think there's a single bad match. It was very fun. You can go listen to my other podcast if you want to check that out.
You did send me one video of the slapping, and I thought,
yeah,
You and I talked about how hits are so bogus sometimes, like punches, and those slaps is like, and it got
Yeah,
faster, and he's
that
like,
but
oh,
the starting ones were
oh
so
yeah.
hard.
Because
Yeah,
have you
that
ever
was
seen the slap? Have you ever seen slapping, like the championships or whatever?
yes, it's insane.
It is, and it
Yeah,
seemed like that,
that
but
was
then they,
the opening match. It was a trios match. So it was 3-on-3, but it was Eddie Kingston was the bigger guy, and then the guy with only the trunks and nothing else was Minoru Suzuki, and his nickname is the Murder Grandpa.
oh wow,
Yeah, he's known
yeah,
for just like slapping the shit out of people. It was great. It
that's
was a great show. And I also watched The Great Mouse Detective. I thought that was pretty fun.
nice.
Yeah, it
Do you
was
want to save
decent.
that for the mouse podcast?
We can mention it then.
You better.
I happen to have watched it. And I binged all of Grounded for Life, the TV show Grounded for Life, which stars Donal Logue, who's one of my favorite TV actors.
Yeah.
And
How many seasons of that?
I had 5 seasons.
Okay.
I started it after recording last week's episode and finished it before recording this week's episode. So I binged an entire show before we've
That's
done
a lot.
recordings. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I've been watching, and now I'm just starting. So Peacock does this thing where once you finish show, it just autoplays something, and so now I'm watching George Lopez. I'm on season 2 of that.
And how is it?
I mean, I watched it as a kid and I like it, but I wouldn't have chosen to rewatch it again.
Yeah, it's definitely like a 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I've actually
Yeah.
seen memes about that. It's like when you wake up at 3 a.m. and you just hear Lowrider,
Yeah.
because that was the theme song, and you know George Lopez is starting. The intro is so funny. It's just them on a trampoline,
Yeah,
like coming into the scene in slow motion.
I know it's such a weird.
Isn't Cheech Marin in that show as an uncle or something?
Maybe in later
You might,
seasons.
yeah, you might not be there yet.
Maybe as a guest appearance or something. But yeah, that's everything I've been watching. Oh, I watched the movie Old Dogs with Robin Williams and John Travolta. That's a movie I saw when it first came out, and I knew it was bad. And I rewatched it and went, "Yep, it's still bad."
Oh, have you ever seen War Dogs?
With Miles Teller and Jonah Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have.
that's
All
way
right.
better than Old Dogs.
Yeah, it is.
I
It's a
hate when
pretty
they
good
fight
movie.
at the end.
In Old Dogs,
No, in
War Dogs.
War Dogs, they're like living large and they got their own like offices, and then they split up basically.
You ever watch movies and the friends always split up?
You ever have friends
No.
dating friends and they split up? I've actually never seen Old Dogs, so I don't know.
Okay, well, don't waste your time.
Okay,
There's the only funny thing I think, like I watched the whole thing and didn't laugh once, but the only thing I got a slight amusement from is there's a scene where they break into a zoo and Seth Green gets kidnapped by a giant gorilla, and like
oh weird.
the gorilla won't let him leave, and it's like the gorilla's like forcing him to sing a song. It's the only thing that's somewhat amusing because I like Seth Green, but otherwise it's just a terrible movie. Honestly curious what it has on Rotten Tomatoes. Oof. Old Dogs has a 5% on Rotten
Oh
Tomatoes.
my god,
I knew it was bad, but
I
wow.
don't even know what it's about, honestly.
It's about Robin Williams is a sad old man, and he's like, 7 years ago I had sex with this wild woman in Florida, and I think I'm in love with her, even though we haven't talked in 7 years. He gets in contact with her, and she's going to prison, and so he finds out that he's the father to her twin kids, and so he's like, I'll take them. And so him and John Travolta become two old dads together, and
Gotcha.
yeah, it's so fucking stupid.
Well, should we get into birthdays?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, today is June 30th. Who do we have today?
Today's birthdays include Mike Tyson, Lizzie Kaplan, Vincent D'Onofrio, David Allen Greer, Susan Hayward, Monica Potter, Colton Dunn, Murray Cook. Do you know Murray Cook?
Not by name.
He's the Red Wiggle.
Oh, interesting.
And then 2 wrestlers, Terry Funk and Cody Rhodes, which I believe last week was Brandy Rhodes' birthday, and so this one's Cody. And I thought that was weird that they're a
Whoa.
married couple and their birthday is a week
Nice.
apart. It's not as weird as like episode 3 or 2 or whatever, where
All right.
that one couple was married or born on the same day. Who do you want to highlight from today?
Let's highlight Lizzie Kaplan.
Oh, okay. Cool. She's a good choice. And I do want to mention really quick before we get into her, Cody Rhodes is actually a wrestler who's had acting experience. He was on the TV show Arrow. And then Terry Funk is another wrestler. He was in the movie Roadhouse.
Nice.
Yeah, so it ties
And
in.
Mike Tyson was in Hangover.
Yeah. And other stuff, maybe.
Yeah, Mike Tyson Mysteries. Have you seen it or whatever it's called?
I've seen the DVD, but I've never actually seen an episode yet.
Yeah, it's silly.
It looks silly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Lizzie Kaplan.
Yeah, she turns 40 today.
Big
She's born in
4-0.
And she's born in Los Angeles, California.
California.
The LA and the CA.
So she's best known for roles in Mean Girls, Cloverfield, which Cloverfield is the first thing I ever saw her in. I really like her in that. Hot Tub Time Machine, 127 Hours, The Interview, Now You See Me Too, and the TV shows The Class and Party Down. And her first acting role was on Freaks and Geeks, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
She was in one episode of Smallville.
Yeah, and I think she actually she came back in a second episode a few years later.
Yeah, I think so.
Was that your fun fact?
No.
Oh.
She used to play piano. And she was taking it seriously. And then she's like, I'm going to go into drama. And then she's like, acting's pretty fun.
Her parents were like, you're going to be a famous pianist. And she was like, but parents, I'm going to be an actor.
Her mom died when she was 13.
Wow. Okay, well.
So not parents, parent.
Anyway, I have a fun fact for you.
Yeah, what is it?
So Lizzie Kaplan, she was on this TV show in the early 2000s. It was called The Pits, spelled like Brad Pitt. It ran on Fox in 2003 from March until April. So it was only on television for 2 months. And the show was canceled after 5 episodes aired. And so the show featured fantastical plot elements in an otherwise normally grounded family sitcom. And I just want to read you the episode plots of each episode because I think they're going to make you laugh.
Okay.
The cast is Dylan Baker, who is from the Spider-Man trilogy, and he's in a bunch of movies. He was the dad. Kelly Waymeyer was the mom. Lizzie Kaplan was the oldest child, and then the youngest child was played by David Henry, who went on to star in Wizards of Waverly Place, if you know that show. All right, so the pilot episode. Bob hires a babysitter for the kids, but does not realize she is the girl he stood up for prom night.
Oh.
All right, episode 2. Faith gets a Volkswagen Bug, but it falls in love with her and tries to marry her in Vegas. Episode 3. Bob and Liz become werewolves and wreak havoc in the neighborhood.
That's amazing. This sounds like it would have been a great show.
I know, it's not streaming anywhere. I want to find it.
So sad.
Episode 4. A dummy comes to life and haunts the family.
Awesome.
Episode 5. Faith loses her chances of being in a rock video after a pipe goes through her head.
Jeez.
Episode 6. The Pits take the wrong bus and are held hostage by escaping prisoners, which sounds like a really funny episode plot.
It does. How many episodes are there? Come
There's
on.
7.
Okay.
It got canceled after 5. And then the last episode, Bob and Liz are convinced to join a dance club, which turns out to be a satanic cult.
Oh my gosh. Awesome.
So I thought that was very funny. And if I ever get the chance to meet Lizzie Kaplan, I'm like, you got to tell me about the Pits. What was this show like?
Right. I just found all 7 episodes on YouTube.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So should we jump right into the topic of today?
Yeah, I think we should.
I agree.
I think we should.
So the topic of today, of course, is Chris Farley, America's humorous, funny man.
Yes, one of the greats.
I agree. He was very, very funny. Especially, he was on SNL for a few years. He touched America's cockle bones and made them laugh.
He sure did. And he's from Madison, Wisconsin.
This is true.
Where we are kind of from.
Our home base.
Yes. He unfortunately died in Chicago in 1997. He was 33.
Which is very sad.
Very sad.
Never ever Google his death pictures. They're awful to look at.
I don't normally Google people's death photos, but okay.
Okay, well, his are out there, and they're very awful.
All right, so yeah, like you mentioned, he was on SNL. I feel like besides the movies we're going to talk about, that's what he's most well known for, and he kind of
Oh, of course.
where he kind of got his start. I know he was doing some improv and stuff before that, but yeah, SNL made him, and that's where he teamed up with all the really funny duos that people know him for, and that he's best friends with, like
Yep, Farley and
Sandler,
Spade.
Spade, Chris Rock,
Yep,
Norm Macdonald.
Kevin Nealon. I really like the Matt Foley sketches. I think those are great.
Yeah,
His performance in the Patrick Swayze Chippendales skit is just
yeah,
phenomenal. He's got so many good sketches. I really like
yeah.
him as the it's when him and Spade and Sandler are dressed in drag and they're eating French fries and Farley's like talking about how he's so fat or whatever, and he's like, "Lay off, they're my fries." Do you have any
Yeah,
favorite of his sketches?
not necessarily favorite sketches, just like I remember the roles like when he was a lunch lady, that was super funny. Van
Sorry.
down by the river, everyone knows,
Oh yeah.
jumping on the table and whatnot.
One of my favorite sketches of his is one he actually did with Sandler, and it's the Schlitz Gay, I think is what it's called. But it's like a beer commercial, but it's a gay beer, and so it's like him and Sandler are cleaning a pool, and it's this like really gross, dirty house, and then they start filling the pool, and it magically transforms into a really pristine house with like just tons of really buff dudes and like tiny speedos, and they're just like, hell yeah, dude.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a really good sketch.
Yeah, Chris Farley's acting style is one of a kind. He loves getting hurt. He's
Yes.
great at it too. Oh, and I feel like it's like flip of a coin. He'll go from yelling to playing the dumb "whoops, did I do that" type of
Yeah.
humor. And those are his two go-tos, which never got old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wish he could have just still been acting because I would have loved to seen his career progress as he
Right?
got
Well,
better and
yeah,
better.
I feel like it was only the beginning. And
Yeah.
especially, and this is a note I have here just to talk about, he's made a few movies with Spade,
Yep.
like buddy comedy, like the two of them, the whole movie.
Yep.
I feel like if he didn't pass so early, there would have been some movies like that with Sandler or something like that, which I
Oh,
would have.
he was supposed to be in Grown Ups.
Yeah, well,
Like,
that's like a lot of people. I'm talking
but I mean,
like
he like
a duo.
The Kevin James character in Grown Ups was originally written for Chris Farley, so like he was
Gotcha.
supposed to be in those.
Yeah,
And
but I'm talking about like a
that's why
duo
they didn't
movie.
make him so early. But yeah, I know what you mean. And yeah, it's crazy thing because you look at his career, he was only in movies for 6 years. His first
Yeah.
movie was in, I believe, 1992, and then his last one was 1998.
Well, are you ready to get into the movies?
I sure am.
All right. Up first, very small role in Wayne's World from 1992, like you said.
This one was directed by Penelope Spearfish, who is one of my favorite directors of all time. I have a hard time pronouncing her name. I don't know if I'm even saying it right, but it looks like it'd be Spearfish or Spearis. Spearis, I think. I don't know.
Spherus is what I'm seeing.
Spherus, but it would be like SF noise, like
Yeah.
Spherus.
Yeah.
I don't know how you say it, but anyways, this one had a budget of $20 million and it grossed 183.1 million at the box office. So this raked in the money like crazy, and it has a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 84% audience score.
Yeah, those SNL movies really brought in the money. Well,
I think it's really only Wayne's World that did. Most of the other ones I think failed. I'm pretty
that's
sure.
possible. I mean, in general, other movies too, like Sandler's movies, his SNL ones did good. I feel like people like that Mike Myers, Dana Carvey. I know I
They
do.
do. I love Dana Carvey. He is
Oh
so
yes,
funny.
I love Wayne's World. I know we're talking
Wayne's
about
World.
Chris Farley, but I love Wayne's World.
Yes, both of
It's so
them are.
great.
I think both of them are so good.
Yes.
I love them. But yeah, so
If you haven't watched them in a while, rewatch is necessary.
oh yeah, they're great. Just go check them out. So his role in this one, he plays a security guard. That's his official credited role. It's in a scene where Garth and Wayne are walking out of a building, and they're like, "Oh, we went out the wrong door. We're stuck outside." And then they meet Chris Farley, who's playing a security guard, and he starts telling him about how this isn't Alice Cooper's limousine. It's Mr. Sharp, who's in charge of the record label that Alice works for, and he's like he's got to go to all these different places. He's driving all over the country looking for like new bands to sign, and he's going this way, and then over here, and then he's got to go to Detroit. And they walk off, and then Wayne stops and talks to the camera and goes, seems like that security guard had an awful lot of information, don't you think?
Yeah, when Mike Myers in Wayne's World breaks the
Fourth wall.
Mike Myers in Wayne's World breaks the fourth wall a lot, and I think that's great.
Mhm.
But yeah, when I loved when he was saying, he's like, yeah, he's going from here, going to here, going to Detroit, and the way
he
he's moving his
manages
hands.
he manages to get his little hand movements in there. He does that in every single movie.
Yeah, he's like,
yeah, he's always doing that little hand movement thing that he does. I love that even in like such a small role where he doesn't even go like too crazy, like he still manages to get that thing in there.
Yeah, and the way he walks like he's swole. His arms are all up. He's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, like you said, bouncers, they got some backstory to them or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got anything else to say about that little scene?
I do not. I really like it it's like a 30-second scene, but it is so funny, and I really like him in this one for whatever reason.
Oh yes. All right, the next one is in 1993, Coneheads.
Yeah, it's from director Steve Barron. This one had a budget of $30 million, and it only grossed $21.3 million at the box office. This is a Saturday Night Live film, also based on the sketches of Coneheads, and this one has a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 37% audience score. So pretty in tune right there. You have not seen Coneheads, right? Because I believe we talked about it with we talked about it in the Adam Sandler episode.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I don't remember it well. I've seen it as a child, I think. I did watch some scenes for this one.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep, same.
Yeah.
He plays Ronnie the mechanic, who is the love interest of the younger Conehead, the daughter of the two other Coneheads. One is which is Dan Aykroyd, and the other is the actress I cannot remember her name. She was from SNL. I can't think of
Bonnie Turner.
That's who it is. Yes.
He's only in it. What? Few scenes from the movie.
Yeah, he's in a few scenes.
Yeah.
He has some really funny ones. Like there's one where he's having sex with the daughter, but it's like through like alien sex. So they're wearing like these weird like crown rings on their heads, and that they can like sense your thoughts and massage your brain or something.
Yeah, the sensory rings.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, so the first scene is when Dan Aykroyd goes to pick up their car, and I just think it's so funny and like their voices are so high pitched, and they walk right in your face. Dan Aykroyd's like, "Where's my car?"
Yeah,
it's just so funny. But
Dan
Aykroyd, yeah, he's like knows nothing because he's not from this world. Well, actually, they're from France, is what they say. It's so funny.
They're from France.
Yelling at him, and he's like, well, it takes a while, whatever. Why don't you go sit over there? And he goes, okay. And then the daughter walks up and he's like, why does it take you so long to change the catalytic, blah, blah, blah. She like knows all the terms when you have all these perfect tools. And he goes, well, maybe I was out back finishing a beer. She goes, oh, okay. And then walks away. And
then he's like checking her out as she walks away. And yeah, he's got a pretty funny role in this one. And it's good to see him. I don't know. It's like a different type of character for him, even though it's a smaller part.
Yeah. In the subway scene, it pans to her, and she eats the whole footlong in multiple bites. It's just like, and it's gone. And he says, wow, my mom's the only other one I've seen take a sandwich like that. I just think that's funny that he's seen his mom eat a whole Subway sandwich real quick. And then she's like, are you going to eat that? And he's like, no. And she like takes another one. It's so funny.
This movie gets a bad rap, I think, but I think it has a cult following now, so
yeah,
it's a cult classic for sure.
Oh, definitely. It's actually somewhat hard to find. Well, at least if you're thrift storing, because my dad was trying to find it for the longest time, and
I actually don't own that movie, Coneheads.
Yeah, so maybe it is hard to find.
It is definitely a hard to find movie.
He got it for his birthday, I think, from my stepmom. Any more about this one?
I do not have anything else.
All right, moving on to Wayne's World 2, 1993. Was it the
Wayne's
same?
World? Wayne's World. It's party time. It's excellent. It's Wayne's World.
Where was that energy for the first one? Come on.
I come and go. I come and go as I please.
Already on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth.
Was this the same director as the first one?
No, it is a different one.
Oh.
So this one is directed by Steven Surgic, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And I'll get to the reason why in a minute. But so this one had a $40 million budget, increased $20 million from the previous, but it had a significant downturn in profits. This one only grossed 72 million, which is, I believe, over half, or less than half of what the first one grossed. And this one has a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 63% audience score. But I like to think that this one is equal to the first because I think they're both great.
Yeah, to my personal rating, I think it's just a hair less than the first one, but right up there.
Okay. See, I think it's different enough from the first one that I like it a lot.
Sure.
But yeah, so the reason that this one changed directors is originally Penelope Spheris was going to come back for the second one, but Mike Myers hated working with her so much that he got her fired from the project. So then she refused to work with him ever again going forward.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so the director got replaced. So Chris Farley plays Milton in this one, who he has a expanded role from the first one. He plays a separate character, of course. He's not the same security guard, but plays Milton, who's an old friend of Wayne and Garth's, and he's like kind of a loser, kind of weirdo guy. Like they see him in bars, and he's like,
Yeah,
he's
like
talking
the
about how
crazy
sad he
friend.
is. Yeah, he's like the crazy guy because he's like talking about how sad he is, and he's living with his parents, and but he's also gonna be living in trash and be homeless. And then he's like, I'm sad, but I'm happy. I feel good, and I'm gonna go fight somebody. And they just every time they see him on screen, like he's just doing something insane.
Yeah, so super funny.
This isn't necessarily about Chris Farley, but a joke that I think about constantly from Wayne's World 2 is it's during the Wayne Fest at the end of the film, Wayne Stock, when they're doing the concert,
Yeah.
and they're in the middle of like playing a song or something, and Garth goes on stage and he's like, "Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to say there's a thing of red vine licorice being passed around. It has been contaminated. I repeat, do not eat the red vines being passed around. They are contaminated." I don't know why. I just think that is such a funny line.
What were they contaminated by?
So no. And how did he find out? Like, did he eat one? Like, it makes no sense. He's just like, do not eat the red vines. They are contaminated. It makes me laugh every time I think about it.
Yeah, later in the movie, like I believe his maybe only second appearance. Or there's probably more, but the big one is they're doing tryouts to be like the roadie or whatever.
Yes,
And
yes, I
there's
remember this
a
bit.
bunch of guys all dressed the same glasses, same vest. And there's a little bit where they're like launching tennis balls at him and they have to dodge them. And Chris Farley's just horrible at it. He's just getting pelted by this. And he goes down on his knees. And Mike Myers walks over and starts like going off on him. Basically Shrek accent. Like he sounds like Shrek.
Yeah, he's like a drill sergeant, like yelling at him.
Yeah, he's like, "You're worthless. You're less than nothing. What's keeping you here? You don't belong here. Why don't you just quit?" And right when he says, "Why don't you just quit?" he kind of sounds like Shrek. And then the famous line, Chris Farley goes, "'Cause I got no place else to go." Which kind of the way I said it sounds like, "They took her germs.
They took her
They took her germs."
They took her germs.
I really hope people get that.
They took their jabs. They took their jabs. This is totally off topic now, but since you mentioned that, I really like the scenes when Randy is always gathered with the big crowd and they're like yelling about something, and then they go, "Rabble, rabble, 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 rabble." And then Randy turns around and go, "Guys, we can't just stand here yelling rabble, rabble the whole time. We gotta say something."
Speaking of that type of scene from South Park, the motorcycle episode.
Yeah.
I just love in the urinals where he's like, yeah. So I think that was, like you said, expanded. So he's much bigger role than the first one. I think it was much better.
Yeah, he has a few dedicated scenes like towards his character, like the ones we talked about. But then he's also just in the background of other scenes too. So he's throughout the film, even though he's not a main character. Like he's there.
Yeah.
He's a presence.
He's their friend. Yeah, versus the security guard's like a one and done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's in that 130-second clip that I described to you.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're done with Wayne's World 2.
And the next movie is Airheads from 1994. We discussed this one on the Adam Sandler podcast. But now we're going to pinpoint on Chris Farley.
Yeah, so this one was directed by Michael Lehman, and it had a budget of 11.2 million, and it grossed 5.8 million dollars. So this one is a huge loss, and it has a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 50% audience score. I quite like this movie. I actually rewatched this one for this
Nice.
podcast.
I've still not seen this in a very long time, which actually my brother, he was like, I'm offended you don't remember watching this movie with me when we were young. And I was like, I'm sorry, I just don't.
It's a really good movie. I
Yeah.
like it a lot. I think it deserves higher than 25%. It's underrated. But yeah, he plays Officer Wilson in this one. He's like a rookie cop who arrives on scene for the hostage situation at the radio station. Yeah, he shows up, and Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters is his superior officer. He keeps giving him like all these instructions where he's like, Officer Wilson, you're too by the book. You got to relax. Sometimes the officer of a law they don't break the rules, but they got to take the law into their own hands and bend the rules a little bit. And
Right.
he's like, you got to improvise. And so like the whole time Chris Farley like gets into these situations and he's like, improvise. And so he's like trying to handle stuff. There's one scene in the middle of the movie where Ernie Hudson's like, hey, Wilson, I got this job for you. We got this, we're looking for this tape or whatever at this concert show. You got to go down there to this venue and go check it out. And so he goes down there and he gets involved in a mosh pit, and the people are just like shoving him around and stuff. And then he gets out of there, and this guy starts hassling him, and he's like ripping his name tag off, and he takes his police badge off and like starts bending it and throws it at him. And he's like giving him a hard time. And Chris Farley just finally looks at the guy's nipple, and he's got a ring in it. So he grabs the nipple ring, rips it out of his nipple.
Oh
He looks at the nipple ring and goes, huh, improvise, and then walks out of there.
Oh my god.
And this is kind of, I think, his most subdued role. Like this is, I think, even more subdued than his security guard role. Like he really doesn't go crazy in this movie at all.
Like he's very drama.
Yeah, he's just like mild mannered, just like a regular guy. Like he's just like an officer who's like, oh.
While doing some clip watching research for this podcast, I saw there was a scene where the news crew was outside of the hostage situation, and they interview Officer Wilson, and they ask him what's going on, and he's like, well, right now we're on a need-to-know basis, and that's not for the public to need to know right now. And he says, I hear they're heavily armed. He goes, yeah, they have assault rifles. He kind of like shoehorns him into saying more info, and he asks if there's a plan, and he's like, that's my job. He just starts getting upset. And he says, and you're damn right I'm going to take care of it.
He's good in this movie. Like, he's good in all his movies, I think. Like, he's very talented, but like this is just a cool role for him, especially like getting into his later roles, where he's a bigger actor. I would say this is a fun one. I don't have much else to say about this one.
Another one we've mentioned before, 1995, Billy Madison.
Yeah, this one was directed by Tamra Davis. On a budget of $10 million, it grossed $26.4 million. It's a
little profit.
Yeah. Has a 41% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 79% audience score.
This was a fun one. I really like his role in this movie.
Yes, as bus driver.
Yes.
Which I always thought that he had a name, but he doesn't. He's just bus driver. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's just a bus driver. I always thought he was one of the O'Doyles. Because the part with the banana, and it's like, O'Doyle rules, O'Doyle rules.
Right.
But he's not part of that. It's just, he's just the bus driver. So I was misremembering the movie.
Yeah, he's actually uncredited in this movie, isn't he?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so that kind of super negates any name he could have. He's just bus driver.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the first scene he's in?
Yes, I believe that's when he's driving the bus, and they start throwing stuff at the bus driver, and he's like, these fucking kids, I'm going to murder them. I will turn this bus around, and your precious little field trip will be over. How would you like that?
It doesn't go quite that brutal like you do, but yes.
Besides saying the F word like I did at the start, I think that's identical to what he says. I'm pretty sure he's like, I'm going to take this little bus and I'll field trip. It'll be over.
Something along those lines, most likely, yes. But I just love, he works himself up so much that he just literally starts turning red. Like he's pushing all the blood to his head. He's like, his whole face is turning beet red. I was just like, oh my gosh.
His next scene is it's revealed that at the field trip he eats all of the kids' school lunches. Him and the two other guys, which are Billy Madison's friends. So that's a pretty fun. It's really short. It's maybe 2 seconds, but then after that, his next appearance is when they're getting back on the bus and all the kids that have their pee on the pants, and he's like checking them, and then he stops Billy Madison so he can look up the skirt of Miss
Veronica Vaughn.
Then he like starts talking to Adam Sandler where he's like, she's a hellcat in the bedroom or whatever. I know from experience. And Adam Sandler's like, no, you don't. And he's like, well, I know somebody who does. And he goes, no, you don't. And he goes, well, no, but you can imagine what it would be like if he did, right? And Adam Sandler's like, yeah, sure, I guess. I really like that line where he's like, I had a friend who hooked up with her, and he's like, no, you didn't. He's like, yeah, but you could imagine what it would be like if my friend did have sex with her. And he's like, yeah, I guess I could.
Yeah.
Sure, I don't know your friend, but yeah, I guess.
Back to just pointing out that Farley, his type of acting with, like you said, he does the hand thing or whatever. And this one, he's like, my friend and her, and he's like air punching. He's like, got it on. Woo! And he just like yells.
Yeah.
Super funny.
Which, if she could hear Billy Madison on the bus talking about touching her boobs or whatever, how could she not hear this bus driver
she definitely
screaming?
Did. Oh, yeah. She did. Yeah, right after he looks up the skirt, he goes, that Veronica Vaughn is one piece of ace.
Yes.
And then after the little bit you talked about, after that part about the getting it on that you talked about, Adam Sandler goes on and he goes, all right, everybody on? Great, grand, wonderful. Which he actually said in Airheads before, so it's kind of funny that it circles back.
Okay. And then I believe that's his main scene in this movie, the field trip. But then he does come back later. There's this sequence where he's dancing with the penguin, I know. That might even be in the credits or something. But he also has the sequence where he is he's helping Billy Madison study and he's taking off his clothes.
Yeah, whenever Billy gets an answer right, he strips. It's like he's like, that's correct. And takes his shirt off, shakes his hair, puts his finger on his lip, and then he brings it down to his nipple. Just like, what? And it goes back to Billy, and he's just like, okay. Yeah, he's not just dancing with the penguin. He's making out with the penguin.
Yeah.
And then he pushes the penguin down, and the penguin's playing with his bits.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, the penguin's flipper goes out of scene, out of camera, down to his crotchal area, and his face is like, oh, and yeah, it's pretty funny.
That penguin is one sweet piece of ass.
Oh yeah.
Do you have anything else to say about Billy Madison?
No, not really. I do think, for me personally, this is his most comedic role of so far. This one is hilarious. Like, it had me rolling compared to anyone else so far. Yeah.
Just the way he says ass.
So great.
All right, what do we got next?
Next is his first full role.
Yeah, his first leading role.
Yes. Tommy Boy from 1995.
Yeah, this one was directed by Peter Segal. It had a budget of $20 million and it grossed $32.7 million. And this one has a 41% on Rotten Tomatoes, the same as Billy Madison, but it has a 90% audience score. People love this movie. And this is one of my all-time favorite movies. I would say this movie is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I've seen it hundreds of times. I could quote the entire...
Yeah, I've seen it numerous times, but not in a while. So the memories are there, but I could not... Like, as soon as you bring one up, I'll be like, oh, yeah.
This one is not streaming anywhere, which completely baffled me. But I watched it again in the lead up to this podcast. I actually watched it before remembering we were doing the Chris Farley episode, and I was like, oh, perfect. I just watched that.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's great. But I adore this movie so much. Like, I could do a full episode on just this movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's many, many, many hilarious roles.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. There's many, many, many hilarious scenes.
Mm-hmm. And it's got such a great cast. I mean, it's the first movie with Spade and Farley.
Mhm.
Their duo, the Bad Boys, and Rob Lowe is in this movie. He's uncredited though. Um, Bo Derek plays his stepmom, who's the villain of the movie. I mentioned her in the Bad Girls Club,
Yep.
and she is a perfect 10 in this movie, which is a reference because she was in a movie called 10 once. Yeah, it's got, Brian Dennehy in it, and it's just such a goddamn good movie. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, it's their first role together.
Hmm.
There was actually a behind the scenes footage where they're doing a little interview, and David Spade says, "Yeah, we've known each other about 6 years." No, he says we've been friends for 6 years. He goes, "Well, he's known me for 6 years. I've started to like him for the past 6 months." I thought that was funny.
That's pretty good. Dan Aykroyd also has a cameo in this movie as Rob Zielinski, the auto parts king. God, I love that. Um, this is such a good movie. What's your favorite? What are your favorite bits?
Yeah, some of my favorite scenes, very famous quotes that I feel like most people know. Probably my favorite all time to quote in every day is, "Richard, what are you doing?" And then just that whole scene where he's looking at the girl in the pool and he's like,
Who's that
"What's your
funny comedian?
He's
What's
like,
his
what's your
name? Buddy Wackett?
yeah? Who's your favorite little rascal? Alfalfa
Or is it
or is
Spanky?
Spanky?"
Sinner. I bet she goes out with one of the Yankees. Richard, how are you looking over your documents in your briefcase? Your briefcase is all the way over here. Don't know. I really like that scene. I love the scene with the deer. The
Oh
scene.
yeah,
This is just gonna be me listing things I like, but the scene
yeah. You
where
told me to go
he.
first, buddy.
All right, you can yeah, take over.
The scene where he lights the truck on fire, the little
Yes.
toy truck, that was great.
Oh
Uh,
my god. Meanwhile, the new guy's in the corner puking his guts out. Somebody call the meat wagon. You get your kids in the back. Daddy, I have to go to the bathroom. Part
uh,
where they're giving the tour of the workplace and he shoots the can out the window and the guy's like, nice distance. And then they go into the new part of the factory and he turns it on and the hooks are going and they hit him in the head and he's like, "Rah!"
yeah,
And he's like, I'm sorry. Shaking the rotary specs on the girders. I also really like the scene where he's pumping gas and he fucks up Richard's door. And then he puts it back on and then the door falls off. He's like, Richard, what'd you do?
yeah.
And of course, the scene with the deer. I don't know if I mentioned that one. That one's fucking amazing.
The whole movie is pretty great, and like you said,
It really is.
You could go on forever.
I really could.
Do you have any special highlighted ones, or
I really like the scene where Brian Dennehy dies. Like it's not a funny scene, but it's a very well done scene. There's a good joke in that wedding scene where he's with Michelle and he's like, "This is Michelle, the prettiest girl in Sandusky." Michelle, say a little something in the camera, and she goes, "A little something into the camera." I like the scene at the end where he robs the bank and he's like, "I didn't rob any bank," and the kid's like, "Yeah, sure, it's just some other fat guy with a tiny head." He's like, "Do I have a tiny head?" And then they interview the cop, and the cop's like, "It was horrific. The guy came up from the shadows behind me, and after hitting me multiple times in the back of the head with a tack hammer, I had no choice but to give up my gun. Yeah, I got a wife and kids at home." And then the other cop's like, "Yeah, it was awful." And all it is Chris Farley walks into the bank, goes, "Everybody listen up," and the two cops immediately drop on the ground and throw their guns at him. And he's like, "Wait, what?" Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, the whole movie's great. I could go on forever. And of course, the one last scene I have to mention. I can't believe I
okay?
almost forgot this. Is the part where they're eating dinner at the thing, and he orders the biscuit, and he's like, "It's like my pretty new pet," and I stroke it, and I kiss it, and and I've killed it. I've killed my pretty new pet, like
So
Jojo,
funny.
the circus clown. Yeah, this whole movie, it's amazing.
There's one more thing from that behind the scenes that I mentioned. It cuts to Farley, and he goes, "Yeah, I fall down a lot. It's what I like to do. I don't have much in the brains department, but when Fatty falls, everybody goes home happy." He likes to make fun of his weight, which since he's doing it, it's fine. But then people get so mad at like people about that Chippendale scene you talked about with SNL. Like people were like, "That's fat shaming." Blah blah blah. They're making fun of him. It's like he's
The
at least
Chippendales scene is hilarious.
on the surface, he
And
uses it towards his advantage. I assume there's a
yeah,
bit of him that was like,
and like even the joke in Chippendales, like the joke of the skit is that he's a fat guy auditioning to be a Chippendales dancer, which is
yeah,
normally like Patrick Swayze, very, very attractive men. And but the joke of the skit is that he's doing it, and the guys who are the judges are like, we don't know who to give this to. I mean, you got Patrick Swayze over here, and then you got Chris Farley. You both are doing great. You both look amazing. Like you're both
right,
just this incredible chunk of a man, and like this. What makes the skit work, I think, is that they take it seriously in the context of that world, where they're not like, oh, look at this fat guy who's just funny or whatever. Like
yeah,
the judges are actually like, no, this guy's good.
yeah. It was good.
Yeah, it works. All right,
All
I
right,
think that wraps up Tommy Boy.
ready for the next one?
Yes.
All right, it's Black Sheep from 1996.
This one's directed by Penelope Spearfish,
Oh,
the
isn't that
the director of
the
Wayne's
first
World.
one? Yeah,
This is the only time Chris Farley ever worked with a director more than once.
I can already
This
tell you, Mike Myers is not in this one.
he is not. So this one, I could not find a budget anywhere online for this movie. It is the one movie that I just couldn't find anything about it.
Black Sheep of a movie budget.
I know, it's weird. But this one grossed $32.4 million, so just below Tommy Boy. So people always say this is it's like, they're like, oh, this is the bad sequel, quote unquote, to Tommy Boy, because it's the same cast and it's just people are like, oh, it's not as good as Tommy Boy. But it brought in nearly as much money. So
A lot of it is shot outdoors. It's a
yes,
lot of wilderness. So I'm gonna guess that the budget was a little less than Tommy Boy. Just a complete wild guess.
maybe.
But so like probably around the same. Because a lot of his movies, well, they're not his movies, but 20, 30, 40, 10, 20, 11, like those are the budgets. So
mhm.
I think right around 20 is a safe bet.
So this one had a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes, but has a 70% audience score. So not as high as Tommy Boy.
Tell me about Black Sheep. A little bit. Just don't drag it out. Just the short.
You really dragged on asking me to.
I was gonna do it. I was gonna do it one more time because I realized you almost talked twice, and I was like, I gotta do it again.
So Black Sheep is a political film in essence because it's about Mike Donnelly, that's Chris Farley's character, who is the black sheep of the family, brother of Al Donnelly, who's running for governor of state. Basically, every time he tries to help like his brother's campaign, he just gets involved in some shenanigans that just end up blowing up in his face and making his family look bad. Al's top advisor basically forces Steve Dodds, who is David Spade's character, to take Chris Farley's character up into the wilderness up in north. And he's like, just take him away, get him away from this campaign for a while. There they meet Gary Busey's character, Drake Savage, who is a military combat veteran who's a little bit nuts. All right.
A little cuckoo.
Yeah, he's a little cuckoo. He lives in the woods in a school bus.
So Gary Busey just played himself.
A little bit. God, I love Boosie. He harasses David Spade, but then becomes friends with Chris Farley's character. And so basically they end up finding out that the rival governor has been like using dead people to vote for her, even though they're dead.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, and so basically Mike and Steve go to save Al's campaign and make him the governor instead. It's a good film. I think it's very underrated. I actually just watched this again a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, I vaguely remember it. I mean, the parts that stick out to me, especially because I saw it young and I wasn't into political movies young, is all the funny bits, which is fine. Like, it's a comedy. The main part that sticks out to me the most is the fridge scene.
Yes, I love that scene.
Oh my gosh.
I love the line at the end. So it's the setup is earlier in the film, David Spade is trying to get signal for his cell phone, and he climbs up on top of a hill that has a boulder on top, and as he's standing on the boulder, loosens it. And so later they're playing chess, and a bird poops on the boulder at the same time that a raccoon pulls a smaller rock out from underneath it. So it rolls down a hill, hits their house, they go flying. The fridge pins.
Well, the whole house is like on tilt.
Yeah,
and
it
the fridge
slides down the
still
hill.
up there, and they go up there, and like I don't know if they like mess with it or what, But
Well,
David
yeah, so
Spade's up by the fridge.
the fridge starts sliding at Chris Farley's character and it stops. And then David Spade goes, "Hey, can you believe that the cord stopped the whole fridge?" And he pulls the cord a little bit and unplugs from the wall and finishes sliding, slams into Chris Farley against the wall. And then David Spade goes, "Are you all right, buddy?" And Chris Farley replies, "Yeah, I'm just fine. I got a bowl of chocolate pudding in my underpants." And he goes, "We didn't have any chocolate pudding in there, buddy." But he shit his pants. I love that scene. There's also the scene where Chris Farley rolls down the hill
Oh my
and
gosh.
then he catches
Just
himself on a little plant. He's like, "Thank you, little plant." And then he falls
yeah,
again.
he's like, don't give up now. Oh
Yeah.
man, just the acting of rolling down a hill, like he really sold it. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great. This
I don't know
I
how
like this movie.
I don't know how much of that might have been a stunt double because there was one part where it was like, whoa, like
I'm pretty
100
sure
rolls.
he did most of his own stunts.
I assume
I
most of
think.
it, but for that hill scene, there is a couple
Yeah.
angles where you're like, no way.
So I got two more funny bits from Black Sheep for you. I really like the scene when they first get to the cabin and they're like, "Hey, what's that on the wall?" And it turns out to be a bat, and the bat's like flying around and they're trying to like catch it in different ways and get it out. Because I have had multiple bats in our house in the past, and it is a nightmare trying to get them out of the house because they are
Oh
so
yeah.
fast and they fly and they dip and stuff and they
Yep.
can hide. It's ridiculous. And so it's just so funny, that scene. And then a second scene I really enjoy. I actually got two more. I'm sorry, I had three total. I thought it was a third. But there's one where they're on sleeping on the bunk beds, and it's there's a storm outside, and then it blows the roof off the cabin. And David Spade's like, "Oh, how's the weather up there?" And then it starts hailing. And so Chris Farley's like trying to hide under the sheets and whatnot. And he's like, "I called top bunk." And then as he keeps making fun of Chris Farley, the top bunk falls and lands on David Spade. And you see him go, "Oh!"
It reminds me of Step Brothers.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like that. And then the next one, it's shortly after that. There's an MTV Rock the Vote filming wherever they are. Chris Farley's character drives to the concert trying to meet up with his brother, but he tells someone his name's Donnelly, and they're like, "Oh, you're the governor." So they ended up pushing him out on stage. And this is right after he just went into a room with a Jamaican reggae band, and he was smoking a bunch of weed with them. And so he comes out and he's stoned off his ass. He's like giving some speech about how his brother vote for his brother and he's gonna do all these great things or whatever. And then he ends the speech with going, "Kill the whitey, yeah!" And then the crowd just goes silent. And then it hard cuts to his brother talking to Chris Farley, just going, "Kill the whitey? What the hell was that?"
Yeah, one scene I really like, but I remembered upon investigation for this is the scene where they're driving the cop car and David Spade's character just
I
starts
can't
going.
believe I
He
forgot
starts
this.
going, Roads.
Rudes. Yeah, he can't remember how to say it. And he's like, "Roads."
And they both go back and forth and they go, Roads is a funny word. And
Yeah.
then when they lead one thing to another, and they goes, limits is a funny word too. And then they get pulled over, and he's like, "Quick, get in the bag!" Well, he's like, "We're high."
Yeah, because the NOS was leaking the car.
Yeah,
And he's like, the cop pulls him over and he goes, "You know how fast you were going?"
yeah.
And Chris
He
Farley's like,
goes,
"Well, I got a Hemi in the trunk. I got two nice nitrous oxide tanks. I got this, I got that. I can get this thing to about 120, but I never do it
155.
unless I'm chasing a hot chick in a Ferrari, if you know what I mean." And then the cop just goes, "7 miles per hour." And usually when I pull someone over, they pull over under the shoulder, not the median.
What'd you stop him for? And he goes, he butchered 400 chickens and screwed a beagle. I'm taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for screwing horses. And he looks back there and he gives him a little smirk, like, I guess so. And he goes, "Get him out of here, go!"
And right before that, though, he tells him what he asks him what's his name, and he goes, "Mehoff, Officer Jack Mehoff." And then he quickly turns around to David Spade and does a little face where he's like,
So funny.
"Yeah, it's a good movie. I like it."
Oh,
Half count.
one last little bit.
Oh, go for it.
So when they were at that Rock the Boat, the MTV thing, a security guard's hat fell off, and he picked it up, put it on to try to like blend in. But at the same time, there was a pestering fan, so he like tells him off and whatnot, and then he's getting real heated, like Chris Farley would.
You need to step to another quadrant.
It cuts to him, yeah, and he cuts to him, and he's just getting real angry, and smoke comes out both his ears, and I just thought that was so silly.
Yeah, it was very silly.
Yeah, and that's my last little bit.
All right, well, tell me, what is next?
Beverly Hills Ninja from 1997.
This one was directed by Dennis Dugan on a budget of $18 million, and this one grossed $37.9 million. This is his highest grossing lead role in a film. And this one has a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, but a 53% audience score.
Now, I'll admit right off the bat, I like the movie for the most part.
Yeah.
But it's so silly and ridiculous. I could have done without. Like, I'm happy it was made. I like it. But if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be sad. Because it's just like, there was times where I'm just like, oh my gosh.
There's parts of this movie I don't like. I don't like this as much as Tommy Boy or Black Sheep. I think it's the worst of the three, his three
Right.
lead roles. But it has its charms to it, and there's certain scenes that I really, really enjoy. And there's one scene in particular that I watch on YouTube quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely came up with some good notes.
Oh, yeah, because you watched this one, right?
Yeah, most of it. I think I got...
Take the lead. Tell me all about it.
I'll tell you about 3/4 about it.
All right.
This crate that showed up all of a sudden on the beach. Earlier, it showed that there was a crazy storm and the ship overturned or whatever, but they had no idea how it got there. They go and open the crate, and there was this chunky little white baby in there. And they're like, oh, white ninja. And it's like, okay. It shows him growing up, and he's just this fat kid his whole life, and he's a terrible ninja. It kind of reminds me of, remember, an elf? When, as he grows up, he's like, he's huge.
The worst elf ever.
Yeah, he's the worst elf ever. So it was kind of like that same vibe about it. He's the worst.
He's a cotton-headed ninny muggins.
Exactly. Not good enough. And then everyone graduates but him. And then they all go on a secret ninja mission, and the sensei or master, well, I don't know. They tell him his special mission is to stand guard, and they all leave. Woman comes looking for help. She goes, "You're a ninja?" He goes, "Yes, I am." She goes, "But you're white." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm the white ninja. Haven't you ever heard of the white ninja?" He goes to Beverly Hills. Some things happen along the way, and turns out she gave him a fake name, and he's all crazy. And his adopted brother, well, he was adopted, but the brother followed him there to protect him. And the whole time he keeps doing these little things to help him, and he never realizes it. It's real funny.
The actor who portrays his brother is Robin Shou, who is also famously known for his starring role in the movie Mortal Kombat and its sequel.
I did not know that. I don't know if I've seen those.
They're not great. They're legitimately bad movies, but I absolutely love them. They're so bad they're good. I think I would love that.
Okay, maybe in the far future.
Okay, there's 3 of them. Tell me your favorite bits of Beverly Hills Ninja.
I liked the opening song. The synth was crazy.
Yes, I do really like that song.
It was just super synthy.
I like Chris Rock in this movie. It's out of order, but I'm just saying things I like because I didn't take notes.
Oh yeah, his character is great.
Joey.
His haircut. It's like the worst bowl cut ever. It's so funny.
Chris Farley's.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There was a point, and this is a throwback to Tommy Boy. There's a part where he's messing around, bends over, and rips the back of his ninja geisha or whatever it's called. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But it was fat guy in a little coat. It was exactly like that.
Yes.
Then there's also a part in this where he does some sort of dance jiggle, just like the Chippendales scene. I thought there was a couple different references. Whether it was on purpose or not, they were there.
Okay. There's one scene where he is going into the chick's house. I can't remember her name, but he's going into her house, and he's fighting the dogs off, and he ends up sicking the dogs on his brother unknowingly. And I think that's a really funny scene.
A funny line I had is right when he got there, he's like, "I gotta change clothes. Like I look too much like a ninja."
Yeah, and he goes shopping. He gets the
Yeah,
car and whatnot.
yeah. So he goes shopping and he ends up putting on like pimp clothes, and they're like, "You look like a pimp." He goes, "Yeah, as a pimp in Beverly Hills, I'll blend in like MSG and miso soup." And I thought that was hilarious.
I like the scene at the beginning when he's at the airport and he's checking all his weapons. And like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness, just so funny.
he goes through the scanner and it just goes off and he starts freaking out.
There's a recurring gag in this movie that I really enjoy where every time he goes to the hotel, he takes his shoes off because of, the culture that he was raised in. And he leaves them outside his door. And because, you leave garbage outside your door at a hotel, they were taking his shoes every night. And so he says a line to someone later in the movie where that's at the hotel. He's like, "Don't leave your shoes here. They steal them."
There's one funny scene where he takes over for a hibachi
Yes.
chef. That might be
That one might be a little
that.
racist.
Yeah, that might be a tad racist, but it is a funny scene.
It is a funny
He
scene.
burns his head on the grill, so then he puts a steak on it, and he just sits there with a steak on it for a second, like a raw steak, and it's just so funny.
And then how far did you get into this?
Probably past this next part I'm going to tell you about.
Okay.
So they're trying to find. So the bad guys are trying to make counterfeit money, and they needed plates, and they only had half the plates. They had to go get more. And then they had to get this special ink guy, which is some guy from, I don't know, Texas or something. He had a big old mustache and a good accent, and Chris Farley takes over for him. And by that I mean like knocks him out or something, puts on a fake mustache and a suit, and off they go. And they kidnap him because they don't want him to know the location, so they put a blindfold on, throw him in a van and everything. And he is so gosh darn funny in that role because he's acting like this like super hilarious dad joke Texan and like nonstop left right zingers. I don't remember any, unfortunately.
Yeah, I
And
don't either.
like even when he jokes, he goes, "Yeah, I gotta go back to my shop. It'll just take me 2 seconds. I need a different color ink. You can even blindfold me if you'd like. I'd actually kind of prefer it." And it was really funny. So I got just past that part, I believe. So
Okay.
yeah, I think that's the like 2/3, 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah, you got pretty close to the end then. Do you care if I spoil the ending?
No, I've seen this before. It's
Okay.
been a long time, so I don't remember it.
So it ends with the lady, his lady friend. She's tied to a chair with a bomb strapped to her, and he's trying to defuse the bomb while Robin Shu's character, his brother, shows up and he's getting beat up by like 10 ninjas, right? It's 10 against 1, and he's getting the shit kicked out of him, and Chris Farley's up there and he finally like sees the fight. And this is my favorite scene in the entire movie. I watch it all the time on YouTube. Chris Farley screams, "Nobody messes with my brother," then does a front flip out of the window down to the like ledge below that they're on, and then proceeds to just kick the shit out of 10 dudes because they were messing with his brother. And he
That's
like
awesome.
yeah, he does like he becomes a good ninja and does like amazing karate moves. He does the splits, like one guy throws a ninja star at him and he jumps up and does the splits and catches himself where the ninja star goes, right under his balls and
Right.
things like that. Like it's great. It's one of the best. Yeah, I really love that scene, and with the everybody was kung fu fighting, like it's just such a perfect scene to me. I don't know. I've always loved that since I was a kid.
Anything else about Beverly Hills Ninja? Oh, I remembered. Got a fun fact for you. Chris Farley's character's name's Haru. Back in 1990, Dana Carvey was originally attached to play Haru.
Oh, really?
Wouldn't
In this movie?
wouldn't that have been a weird movie?
Um,
It would have had like a Master in Disguise vibe.
I was
Like,
gonna say,
it would have been a lot more slap, 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 slap.
I think it could have been good.
Yeah, but it would have been very different. I'm saying, like,
Hollywood should make multiple versions of movies with different actors.
I like where your head's at, but I'm gonna say no.
I mean, they just should. Doesn't matter if they make money. They should just do it. I would watch them.
Oh, just for you? Okay.
Yeah. Make Wayne's World, but have Dana Carvey and Mike Myers switch roles. Just why not? Just like remake the movie. It's just exactly how it is.
All right. Up next, Almost Heroes, 1998.
So this actually was released posthumously. It was directed by Christopher Guest, and it had a budget of $30 million, and and it grossed $6.1 million in the box office, which is shit.
That is. Was that his last movie directing? Maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, this was actually the last movie he filmed, but it was not the
Oh,
last movie that was released.
wait,
'Cause
who?
he actually died during filming, but they
Oh,
managed to get all his scenes finished.
I was talking about Christopher Guest
Oh, okay.
because obviously his directing sucks. I'm just kidding.
I love this movie. I'll be honest. This one has a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it
Oof.
has a 64% audience score, so it's higher than Beverly Hills Ninja actually.
Oh yeah.
I love this movie. I think it is so funny, and I understand why people might not like it because it is so goddamn goofy and stupid. But it is so fun, and it really deviates from the whole plot of what the movie is actually about towards the end. Like it just becomes a different thing, but it is so good, and Chris Farley's amazing in this, and it's the one movie I can think of that Matthew Perry's in. Like anytime I think of Matthew Perry, I go, "Oh well, that one movie he's in with Chris Farley is so weird." Just such a weird fact that they're in a movie together.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I've not seen this, so this movie is on you for this whole bit.
Okay. Well, I think it's very fun. So it takes place around the same time. Well, not the same time. It takes place at the same time. Lewis and Clark. So like Lewis and Clark, are adventuring the America and discovering the country or whatever. So Matthew Perry and Chris Farley's character, Bartholomew Hunt, both decide to do the same exact thing, but they want to do it faster than Lewis and Clark so they get their credit. So they hire a crew of ragtag guys to join their posse, one of which is Eugene Levy, who is married, or he owns a Native American woman who he's like, no, I bought her. She's mine, but you can't look at her. You can't talk to her. And well, immediately Matthew Perry falls in love with her. And so that becomes a plot of the movie. They hire a ragtag crew, one of which is Bill Murray's brother. And like, it is just so goddamn funny. One of the characters loses his leg almost immediately. Like
Jeez.
he goes up to a bear or some type of crazy animal, and he's like, "Oh, look, it's just a little squirrel." And they're like, "That is not a squirrel. Get away from that." And he's like, "It's just a squirrel." And they're like, "That is not a squirrel." And he goes over to it and it bites his leg off. But I don't have anything else to say. Oh, Chris Farley gets attacked by an eagle in this movie, a bald eagle.
Nice.
And he eats a bald eagle egg.
I might watch it eventually.
You should.
Matthew Perry is a good actor.
Yeah.
Cut that from the podcast. I don't think he's horrible.
17 again. That's another movie I can name with him. That's two movies. Is there a third movie with him?
Oh, he's been in plenty. Wasn't he in the Whole 9 Yards?
Was he in that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, there's 3 movies.
Are you ready for the last one?
Yes.
It is Dirty Work, 1998.
This is another one we talked about in the Adam Sandler episode. This one is directed by Bob Saget, of all people, on a budget of $13 million, grossed $10 million. So it was a little bit of a failure.
Wah, wah.
Has a 14% Rotten Tomatoes and a 65% audience score. This is a cult classic of a film. There's a huge audience for this online, and it is just a wonderful little film. I think I talked about this last time when we mentioned it. It was originally shot as an R-rated film, and the studio cut it to PG-13, and I think that does harm the film in a way. Like, you can tell that it's been cut in a way to make it, safe for release, but it's still just a wonderful little film.
I love Chris Farley's parts. I did YouTube them. I don't know if I've seen this movie, at least since I was little, and he plays a funny role.
Yes, Jimmy No-Nose. He looks like Voldemort.
Yeah. Yeah, Norm Macdonald sitting at the bar with his buddy.
It's Artie Lang.
They're sitting there watching TV and whatnot, and he totally just rips on Jimmy No-Nose. He's at the end of the bar and he starts freaking out and he goes, "I'm just playing with you. I saw you, Jimmy. Hey, get him a beer." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And he's like all happy instantly.
Yeah, I like the part where he explains like how the chick bit his the prostitute bit his nose off or whatever it is in the movie.
Yeah, that was funny.
I quite like that scene.
Shortly after, in the same bar, I don't remember which one's first. There's 2 scenes that are 2 bits that I think is really funny. There's a brawl and then they're chilling at a table talking about Norm Macdonald needing a place to stay. And the brawl is so funny. There's getting heated over there, and Jimmy No Nose is sitting at the jukebox, and some old guy goes, "Hey, there's a brawl. Looks like a brawl's about to go on. Play something good." And he goes, "Hell yeah, Rolling Stones, Street Fighting Man, G7." And you see him hit 2 buttons, and he hits go. And the old man goes, "You just hit G8." And he looks like, "Oh no." And instantly, "If you like pina coladas," they're just like beating the coverage.
Getting caught in the rain.
And he yells over, "Bite him! Bite him in the nose!" It's so funny.
You and I looked up the song Street Fighting Man. Not a
Yeah.
great song.
No, I mean, I recognized it, but it's definitely not my favorite.
Yeah. Pina Colada, though, one of my favorite songs.
Oh, yes.
Do
So I
you like
assume-
Pina Colada?
So I assume shortly after the brawl, when it cools down a little, sitting at a table with Jimmy No Nose, and he's talking. He's like, "Yeah, I need a place to stay tonight, man." And he's like, "Well, you know, I'm staying down at the Y." And he goes, "No, it's okay. I'll sleep in my car." "Yeah, and I got my roommates, this old guy." He's like, "No, it's okay. I'll just sleep in my car." "Yeah, he just got his knee drained." That's a good thing too, because he was getting pretty ripe. And he goes, "No, it's fine. Yeah, I catch him staring at me when I'm sleeping. It's kind of off-putting." And he's like, "It's okay. I'll sleep in my car." And he goes, "Yeah, his feet bleed." And he's just like, "Stop it." So funny.
That's pretty funny.
And then much later, I don't know if it's the end of the movie or what, but he runs into him and he's got a new nose and it looks horrible. And he goes, "Jimmy, you got a new nose?" And he's like, "Yeah, it cost me $200 or something like that." And I was like, $200?
For a new nose?
Yeah.
It's like he got his paycheck for the week and was like, "Oh, I got a little extra cash. I'm gonna go buy a new nose."
Yeah, and he pulls it. Well, he must have had a lot of cash because he's in a nice suit and he's got a nice car. And then that same prostitute that bit his nose or whatever leans out and she's like, "Come on, let's go." And he's like, "Don't yell at me." And then he's like, "All right, see you later." He starts walking towards his car and he goes, "Blah, blah, blah," to the girl. And he then gets in and he goes, "Shut your cake hole, Yoko." And then she bites his nose again as they're driving off. You can hear it. It's a funny role for him.
Agreed. Yeah. I like it a lot. I wish he could have done more.
You're
not into yoga.
Shut the fuck up.
We're getting caught in the rain.
Do you have anything else to say since I just explained the whole thing in detail?
No, not really.
Cool.
I think you got all the scenes too, so.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yes.
And that was the 10 that he acted in.
Yay.
Yeah.
We did all 10.
Yay.
I want to mention one. This is a little bonus one.
Do
The movie I Am Chris Farley. It's from 2015. It's a documentary film that was directed by Brent Hodge and Derek Murray. This one has a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 77 audience score. And this one's pretty good. It's got tons of different comedians and people that knew him, like Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, his brother John Farley. Like a lot of people are in this, like talking about him.
Yeah, is it like stories and stuff?
Yeah, it's stories about his career and his life and how like he was troubled and like the substance abuse issues he had and what led up to his death. And they cover pretty much his entire life.
That's cool.
Yeah, like his insecurity. David Spade's one of the talking heads, of course.
I'll have to watch it sometime.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful movie.
And then last little bit, when Adam Sandler came out with that Netflix stand-up in 2018, I think it was called 100% Fresh.
Yeah.
At the end of that, he did a real nice Chris Farley tribute. And it was real nice. It made me tear up a little, and there's plenty of photos, and he sang a song, I think, and
yeah, I actually just watched that on YouTube a couple days ago.
it was good.
It's really good.
Do you have any more Chris Farley things?
Outside of watching some Letterman late night clips that he was on, no, not really.
Oh, a clip I saw recently. I did not watch the whole thing because it's rather long.
Yeah.
Did you know that in 1995, Chris Farley, well, on SNL, he used to play Newt Gingrich a lot.
Yeah. I did watch that. I watched it. I watched it for the first minute and went, "All right, this is really long."
I skimmed it. Yeah, he does a Newt Gingrich impersonation during a House Republican meeting. It's just super funny. There's a part where Newt Gingrich gets up and he makes him put his hand on a Diet Coke as if it was like a Bible and like swear something. Yeah, it's funny.
I only watched it for a little bit, and I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah, same.
It wasn't the funniest thing in the world.
No, definitely not. It's just funny it happened. I think
Yeah,
it's
agreed.
yeah. Yeah. So that's I liked this episode. Did you?
I did too. It was
Give
a
it-
lot of fun rewatching this stuff.
Good. I agree. Well, are you ready?
For what?
Wheel of
Versus.
This is the part of the podcast where we do Wheel of Verses, one of our favorite bits where we take 5 characters each from this topic. Hey, look, we had 10 characters, so it works out perfect.
Yeah, that it does. That it does.
That's neat. So we put them on a wheel, spin it, one at a time, battle to the death, elimination style, one at a time rounds, see who wins. Currently, overall, I am the champion, 6-3. How do
Yep.
you feel about that?
Not good, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, do you want me to tell you first, or do you want to go?
Yeah, tell me who you got.
I got Haru from Beverly Hills Ninja, the bus driver from Billy Madison, the security guard from Wayne's World, Tommy Boy from Tommy Boy, and Ronnie the Mechanic from Coneheads.
I got Bartholomew Hunt from Almost Heroes, Jimmy No-Nose from Dirty Work, Mike Donnelly from Black Sheep, Milton from Wayne's World 2, and Officer Wilson from Airheads. I am spinning.
No, I am spinning.
I'm spinning also.
Who'd you get?
I got Mike Donnelly.
I got Ronnie the Mechanic.
Oh, wow. Okay. What does Ronnie do? He doesn't do much.
So, Ronnie drinks half beers out back, but he also has multiple tools that,
That's true.
yes, we have to use our imagination a little bit. He's got multiple tools. Just wrenches alone. He can whip a wrench at your head.
Okay. See, I think Ronnie is more a lover than a fighter.
I'm sorry, but when it's to the death, lover is out the window.
And I think Mike Donnelly, he's a football player. He can, tackle people. He also gets into a fight with Drake Savage, Gary Busey's character, and it's a savage fight. They're really, throwing punches and picking him up and slamming into tables and rolling on the ground. And
but
it's a brawl.
Who does the picking up?
Gary
Busey's character.
They both slam each other, I think.
Okay, just checking.
I'm just saying he can fight.
Yeah, but I got tire irons. I got screwdrivers.
Yeah, well, Mike Donnelly can fall down a hill and get hit with a fridge, and he has some durability to him as a character. He can really I think he could get hit with a wrench, and I think he'd be all right.
He might poop his pants.
That was chocolate pudding. You can't prove that.
You can't prove anything. This is a tough one.
I think Mike Donnelly could take this one.
I think you might be right. Especially when he flies into the water. That was a funny one. Yeah, Chris Farley goes flying into the water. You can just tell it's a ragdoll. It's great. Yeah, I think you'll get this one. Lucky you.
Nice. I am spinning again. Who'd you get?
Tommy Boy.
I got Bartholomew Hunt from Almost Heroes.
So with me not seeing that, you have to be truthful. I don't know any of his abilities.
He is a very heavy drinker. He can outdrink anyone. It's proven in the movie. He can handle his own in a fight. They get into multiple fights, and he's a big brawler. He can take people out. He takes them and throws them around, and he can hold his own. He's like the muscle of the crew. And yeah, he fights off a bald eagle. He falls out of a tree and survives. He has to climb up a mountain in the middle of winter by himself. Like, yeah, he's a durable fella.
Okay.
It's the reason I picked him pretty early. I was like, I got this guy.
Well, this Tommy Callahan III, he's extremely strong.
Mm-hmm.
He's got muscles because he
played
works
rugby.
He works out at the gym a lot. He might not know if it's this way or that way,
But he'll check it out.
But he'll check it out. He's got good imagination. He knows when you're checking out a female
And masturbating to her.
Yep. All right, just the fact that your guy got into fights and my guy didn't. Actually, isn't Tommy not cowardly, not straight up dumb, but like
He's pretty
Richard?
dumb.
Yeah, Richard like watches out from the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, it took him 7 years to graduate college, so and he only graduated because he got a D plus instead of a D minus. No, he got a D minus instead of a D plus because he says at one point he goes, they give out a lot less D minuses than they do D pluses, and they're
Oh my
like, yeah, that's
goodness.
great, Tommy boy. And there's that one scene where he gets hit in the face with a 2x4 by David Spade, and he gets knocked out in Tommy Boy.
Well, then I think you win.
Doing a clean sweep, baby.
It's not gonna stay forever.
Spinning again.
Who'd you get?
I got Jimmy No Nose.
I got a bus driver. I think the bus driver is gonna win.
This is funny because it's two characters that kind of look similar.
Yeah.
I mean, all the characters look similar. They're the same guy, but you know what I mean.
I do. So my guy, he's got super anger problems.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm scared to go near him because he might snap. Type of anger problems.
At the same time, he likes a sweet piece of ass.
The ass. Yeah, but your guy, he lets a very small person bite his nose off. Like, I feel like if you can let somebody bite your nose off, you're gonna lose in a fight.
Prostitute bit your nose off? Did she at least have a sweet ass? It's maybe the best thing he's ever said.
I also have a bus. I'm just like coming at you.
God, that's true. You do get a vehicle. I got no fucking nose.
Because yeah, even if you had the car in the end of the movie, it's just a car. Like a bus would take out a car any day.
He doesn't have a nose. He can't smell you coming.
That bus driver.
It's
the tip of the nose. Come on.
That bus driver, he's stinky.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You gotta take this one, especially because Jimmy No Nose doesn't even fight during the brawl scene in the bar, does he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he hangs off to the side.
Yeah, because he yells, bite him in the nose, like he's just giving advice. Real quick, back to that bus driver scene when you said he's eating all the kids' lunches with Norm Macdonald and whatever the other guys. Cuts to him just for a quick second, and they're all giggling beyond belief. Does that mean they're just like stoned out of their mind?
I'm pretty sure they were.
And how and why did they show up? Like they're in the middle of a field trip, way far away from town, I assume.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, his friends are there stealing lunches. Like, there's no cell phones back there. Then it's not like, hey, quick, come here, eat some lunch.
Yeah.
They must have been following him or something.
I think so. All right, I spun again.
I didn't.
Oh well, you should catch up.
Who'd you get?
I got Milton from Wayne's World 2.
I got security guard from Wayne's World 1.
Wow. You obviously are pretty thick because you're a bouncer.
Yes.
But at the same time, you reveal too much information.
That doesn't mean anything.
That's your defining trait.
That means I'm very smart.
It's your one defining trait.
Well, yours, you say you're going to go look for somebody to fight, but you also get pelted by a tennis ball machine and you go down because of it. We don't know if you won that fight earlier, so I assume you lost that fight earlier.
But I think he's crazy.
Taken out by tennis balls.
He's the wild card. He's crazy.
Yeah, but
whereas like the security guard,
this caliber, no, he could take out anyone who's crazy. Like I can just see him grabbing you by the back of your neck, going, "Come on, let's go!" Like I can just hear Chris Farley saying that.
And I can see Milton biting him and kicking him, and I
don't think he's that crazy though. They never showed him being that crazy. I
think he could take this. I think he's a real metalhead, He's just like rah, 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 rah.
But a security guard never works alone.
He's like, rah. I don't know. This is a tough one because we don't see the security guard do anything. Whereas Milton, we see him do stuff.
No, you don't. Well, yeah, the only thing you see him do is get taken out by a tennis ball. When he says, I'm going to go find somebody to fight, he just walks off. You never see him fight anybody. For all we know, he didn't even find anyone.
Oh, I definitely think he found someone.
He might have just got distracted and like played Pac-Man all night.
I disagree. I think he went and either whooped the shit out of someone or got the shit kicked out of him, but he
probably by this security guard.
I think he kicked the security guard's ass.
You just want to win so much that you're trying to pull anything out your ass.
I think the security guard was like, hey, you want to go down to Detroit and meet Mr. Sharp, or you want to go over to this place and go down to here and do this, and he's like, I'm looking for a fight. Yeah.
And I say, all right, let's go. And I take you outside and throw you in the dumpster.
I think Milton could take this on. I really do.
I'm only going to say I agree because in the end of that scene where he's like, I'm going to go pick a fight, and they go, he's gotten a lot better, which I assume means he was crazier
Yeah.
before.
And he even says, he's like, I hate my life. He's got nothing to lose. He's at that point.
Right. You win overall.
Are we spinning again?
No need to, but yes, we're going to do the last battle. I wish the wheel would have given me Haru earlier.
Who'd you get?
Haru.
I got Officer Wilson.
I win.
Do you have a nipple piercing as a ninja?
No.
All right, then you win. That's the one move he's got.
Haru, whether he wins on purpose or not, like there's so many times where he would accidentally do something amazing, or then purposefully do something amazing. Just that end scene when about protecting his brother alone.
Beverly Hills Ninja is basically the live action Kung Fu Panda.
It's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
Or take, I guess. All right. Well, you are now up to 4 wins. So it's going to be 6-4. Kind of like a tall person.
Kind of like me.
No, you're short.
Oh, man. I'm average.
Okay. That was a good episode.
I agree. I liked talking about Chris Farley. It was fun going back to an actor I've liked since I was a child.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that's how Sandler was. So I'm excited that there's more parts, which there would be more parts of this if, Yeah,
Sandler was fun too. He's just got a mixed bag with his earlier films.
Yeah.
And also
I'm excited for the future.
I was more of a fan of Farley than I was Sandler.
Sure.
As a child.
I was a fan of Sandler more.
Tommy Boy's just my shiznit.
That's okay. You can shiznet all over that if you really want.
I will. Thank you very much.
Should we give the email twice since we forgot in the beginning?
Sure. You say it and I'll say it.
We'll say it at the same time.
Okay. And you can hit us up at ourdads@brothers@gmail.com. You have any questions, concerns, comments, questions, or concerns, you can message them to that email and tell Nathan to watch movies like Almost Heroes.
Tell us your favorite color.
Yeah.
And if you have a little bit of extra change in your pocket every month and you feel like giving it to us so we can make this podcast even greater, you can check out at the end of the bio. There's a little link to our Anchor. You can give us a little monthly subscription. That'd be really nice.
It would be so helpful.
So helpful. And then we have some Instagrams and things. I got Nathan Tracy, one brick wall at a time, and Halomoto, HALLOMOTO.
Halomoto. I have BatTracy01 on everything except TikTok, which is Bat Loves Movies, and my YouTube is Punk Rock Blues. And I have a wrestling podcast called Brothers in Tights. It's on Amazon and Spotify.
Should we give a little tease about the next episode?
Sure. We are doing the original Jurassic Park trilogy.
Oh, Chris Pratt?
No.
You can take that Chris Pratt ass out of here.
Yeah.
For now. He can come back later. But
throw him in the pit.
This is just Jurassic Park.
Throw him in the pit.
It'll be good. I'm excited. I like Jurassic Park. I watched it as a child multiple times.
Agreed.
It's good. Good stuff. Tune in if you like dinosaurs.
I do.
Until next time, I'm Nathan Tracy.
And I'm Bat Tracy. And our dads are brothers.
That they are. That was fun.
This was fun.
Yeah, I like that.
We should do this again sometime.
Like when?
Maybe weekly?
Okay.
We could do a podcast.
Yeah, I think I have the equipment for that.
We just need a clever name.
How about Hot Piece of Ass?
Hot piece of ass.
Ass.
I love it. All right, that's it.
All right, bye.
Bye.